With a knot in my stomach, I step into the building that houses the company. I replay the scenario in my mind over and over, wondering how best to apologize to the CEO. My whole body is icy cold, my knees tremble, and my heart is pounding wildly. I force a smile onto my twitching lips and, opening the door, I greet loudly. "Good morning. I'm very sorry for what happened yesterday." I bow my head deeply and feel all eyes in the room turn to me.
You, the insolent guy who didn't attend the induction ceremony yesterday.
A deep voice resounds throughout the office. It's President Johnson. Lifting my face, I see he's visibly in a foul mood, glaring at me. I attempt to explain, but am cut off instantly.
Employees who still act like giddy college students can get out. We don't need you in our company.
Everything goes black before my eyes. After much hardship, I finally managed to join the company, and I deeply regret what I've done. I was raised by my mother alone. She worked multiple jobs, not wanting me to have a hard life, and allowed me to go to high school. I intended to repay my mother's kindness by working right after graduation. But
if you genuinely want to work right after high school, Jack, I won't say anything. But if you really want to go to college, you should go. Don't worry about the money, we'll manage somehow.
my mother's words encouraged me, and I decided to pursue higher education. However, not wanting to burden her financially, I managed to secure as many scholarships as possible and take out student loans. While attending college, I wanted to help financial support for the household through part-time jobs, but just making ends meet was a struggle. I wanted to start working as soon as possible to give my mother a break. However, my job hunt, which began in April of my junior year, could have gone better, and all I received were rejection emails. Some companies did not even contact me, making me feel worthless. Amidst all this company finally gave me a chance, and I was brimming with hope, ready to work my hardest. I couldn't attend the induction ceremony due to an unexpected incident.
Can't believe you're a working man now, Jack. You've grown up.
My mother said with a sentimental tone on the morning of the induction ceremony, to which I playfully acted annoyed to hide my embarrassment. Enough already, how often will you say the same thing? In reality, I was more excited than anyone else, and I had been eagerly waiting for this day. To avoid being late, I left home early. On the way to the subway station, there was a river bank where you'd typically see people walking their dogs or jogging, but this morning, it was deserted. As I was enjoying the fresh air on my walk, I heard a small scream accompanied by an unusual sound of water splashing. Turning around, I saw a little girl drowning in the river. The shock froze me in place for a moment, but almost immediately, I was running toward the river. I took off my jacket and threw my bag aside before diving in. I had been part of the swim team in high school and was confident in my swimming abilities, but I hadn't expected swimming in clothes to be so challenging. Nevertheless, I frantically paddled my way toward the girl. When I reached her, she was utterly exhausted, her movements feeble. I watched her sink in front of me, dive in, and pick up her limp body. Despite the buoyancy that should have been at play, the little girl felt as heavy as lead. She was unconscious. Immediately, I called for an ambulance, scanning around for anyone who could lend a hand. That's when I noticed the sign for an AED by the restroom storage, and I dashed to grab the device. I'd taken an AED training course back in college, but I'd never had to use it in a real-life scenario. Yet, my mind was occupied with the desire to save the life that was potentially fading right before my eyes. I applied the child-sized pads and pressed the switch. Praying for the ambulance to arrive quickly, I performed CPR relentlessly. During this time, people walking their dogs or jogging would pass by. They'd look over with worried expressions but keep moving, as if this had nothing to do with them. I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread, wondering what would have happened if I hadn't stepped in to help the girl. Finally, with a piercing siren, the ambulance arrived, and the paramedics quickly began assessing the girl's condition. There was no contact information for any family members among the girl's belongings. Worried, I decided to accompany her out of sympathy. However, as I wrapped myself in a blanket and climbed into the ambulance, the reality of the situation hit me hard. Damn it, I was supposed to be at my company's induction ceremony today. What am I doing? I had had my wristwatch submerged in water, and droplets clung to the inside of the glass. Pulling out my smartphone from my bag, I found the ceremony had already begun. A chill ran down my spine, spreading to my fingertips and leaving me trembling. Upon my arrival at the hospital, I hurriedly called my company to apologize for missing the induction ceremony due to unforeseen circumstances. I also sent an email explaining the situation and apologizing, but I couldn't shake off the anxiety about missing the ceremony. Still, I couldn't leave this place. In the hospital room, I held onto the hand of the sleeping girl. After a while, her hand twitched slightly. Turning my gaze, I saw her eyelids slowly flutter open.
Where am I?
Even though her voice was faint, I felt relieved. I pressed the nurse call button, got her checked by the doctor, and exhaled a sigh of relief when I was told she was all right. "You were drowning in the river," I said. Tears began to well up in the girl's eyes at my words.
I couldn't see my mom.
Choking up, she told me her story. She said she had jumped into the river, intending to join her deceased mother. Upon inquiry, I learned that the girl was 9 years old. When I was around your age, I lost my dad to an illness. I didn't have a particularly close relationship with my dad. On work days, he'd come home only after I'd gone to bed, and even when he was home, he'd watch TV or read the newspaper. But on rare off days, we'd play catch or soccer, or he'd take me to the zoo. It made me sad when I thought about how I'd never have those moments again, and I regretted not cherishing our time together more. I was depressed for a long time, but I realized that I still had to keep living. Because my dad is watching over me, worried. The girl began to cry.
I wonder if my mom is watching, if she's worried.
I gently nodded in response. If you can't locate her guardian, please contact me. I handed my contact information to the nurse, praying for a happy future for the girl, then left the hospital.
Remember, this is not a layoff due to company reasons. It's a voluntary resignation.
President Johnson pointed his finger at me. I'm quitting this company without working a single day. This morning's image of my mom's smile tightened my chest. Just then, a woman entered with a pale face. The president's secretary.
President.
What is it? You're loud.
The president responded with an annoyed look.
It's a crisis. Congressman Michael Harrison has come to visit.
Even someone like me, who doesn't know much about politics, had heard his name. He is a state congressman who has announced his candidacy for the upcoming state governor election and is said to be the leading candidate. He is a prominent politician. For the president, who runs a construction-related company, it would be desirable to be on good terms with such a prominent politician who is a local celebrity.
What? Why here? Well, it doesn't matter. It's a chance to make connections. Show him in immediately.
The president showed his excitement, then glared at me.
Hey, a VIP is coming. Get out of here immediately.
I was completely treated as a nuisance. There were no arrangements for my seat, so I was going home with my bag. The door opened as I was about to leave, and Congressman Harrison entered. As expected of a prominent politician, he had a presence and I could feel a strong aura. He excused me. As I hurriedly jumped back, he suddenly took my hand.
You're Jack, aren't you?
I was surprised to hear my name called. Yes, that's right, but... I was stunned as Congressman Harrison suddenly called out my name. The president and the secretary were also stunned.
Thank you so much for helping, Catherine.
He clenched my hand tightly and shook his shoulders, tears streaming down his face. Catherine was the name of the girl who had drowned in the river. Catherine's mother, in other words, Congressman Harrison's daughter, had died and everyone was sunk in grief. They had been unable even to consider Catherine, who had lost her mother and had not noticed her sorrow and pain. Still, Catherine had started going to school and seemed to be gradually recovering from her sorrow. However, one day 3 weeks after her mother's funeral, they thought she had gone to school, but they got a call from a teacher saying Catherine hadn't come. Her backpack was abandoned on the road from home to school, and there was a fuss as they thought it was a kidnapping, but there was no contact from the perpetrator. While grieving, they were searching for her when they got a call from the hospital and rushed to Catherine's side.
I often apologize to Catherine, saying I'm sorry. She told me I won't do this again because my mom would be sad. My big brother said so.
Knowing that my feelings at that time had been conveyed, my heart warmed. Then, President Johnson spoke to Congressman Harrison in a flattering voice.
How about that? Our employees are excellent, right? Since he's the one who saved your granddaughter's life, maybe you can give us some special consideration from now on.
Just moments ago, President Johnson insisted that I go home immediately, so I was surprised by his sudden change of attitude.
I am striving for clean politics. You were about to fire Jack, weren't you? I heard you loud and clear.
President Johnson choked on his words.
I can't imagine that you would let go of a brilliant employee who risked his future to help others, would you?
Congressman Harrison's powerful words bore down heavily on him, causing President Johnson's face to contort.
No, there's no way. I would do such a thing.
Later on, I was invited to Congressman Harrison's home. I was overwhelmed by the magnificent mansion standing in front of me. It indeed was the home of a high-profile politician. Even though it was just one subway stop away, I had no idea he lived so close.
Jack, thank you so much for the other day.
Catherine, who looked lovely in a beautiful dress and neatly tied her hair, welcomed me. I was genuinely happy that I had helped her that day. She took me by the hand and gave me a house tour. As we entered the living room, a man in a suit, despite being indoors, raised his head and deeply bowed as he approached.
I'm Catherine's father. I don't know how to thank you for helping my daughter. I truly appreciate it.
He was Congressman Harrison's chief secretary. Just then, Congressman Harrison, dressed in a formal suit, appeared.
Please have a seat, Jack.
With a sense of humility, I took the offered seat. Upon being asked by Congressman Harrison, I told him about my past.
Heidi was brought up by a single mother. She struggled to raise me, which can greatly strike a chord with your story.
He had gone to work after graduating middle school, attending night school, and eventually going to college.
I didn't start out wanting to be a politician. But as I began to feel the injustice in the world, my desire to create a society that helps the weak grew. And that's when I decided to become a congressman. It's been a long journey to get to where I am.
Congressman Harrison also shared his hardships from his early days as a congressman. I only had one desire, to ease my mother's hardships. I never thought about changing the world. But your story has left a deep impression on me, Congressman Harrison. To which Congressman Harrison responded,
If you're interested in what I'm doing, Jack, why don't we give it a shot together?
I looked up. Thanks to Congressman Harrison, I was able to keep my job. But the unpaid overtime, expected work on holidays, lack of proper job training, and daily exposure to workplace harassment drained me. I could not find motivation in my work and began questioning whether this was the right path for me. I would appreciate that, thank you. Subsequently, I became Congressman Harrison's deputy secretary. When my mother heard the news, she was taken aback.
Oh my, I can't believe. It's fascinating how life works. There must be some divine intervention.
Speaking of divine intervention, President Johnson's company was making the news for its explicit collusion with politicians. To change such a society, I intensely wished for Congressman Harrison to become the state governor. Campaigning for the governor's election was extremely busy, working from morning till midnight. But everyone was united in their pursuit of victory, and I felt a sense of purpose. The suspense of waiting for the election results was nerve-wracking. Hearing of Congressman Harrison's victory, I was overjoyed and tearfully embraced everyone. I had never experienced such excitement, not even during my student days. Catherine was also there at the venue.
Congrats, Grandpa.
Catherine handed a bouquet to Congressman Harrison with a bright smile. Harrison, all smiles himself, lifted her in a warm embrace. Having almost lost my job and unable to attend the induction ceremony, I felt my life was over, but after meeting the congressman, a new path opened up before me. I cherish this connection and am determined to help Congressman Harrison in his mission to build a world that looks out for the vulnerable. I aim to contribute a little to this noble cause. My name is Kevin Miller, 29, and single. I work as a researcher at a major pharmaceutical company. I graduated from a famous national university's pharmacy department and got the job I've always wanted, with a salary and bonus that's more than enough. Living in a lavish apartment, perfect for a single person, surrounded by friends, my job is both challenging and fulfilling. Now, anyone might think when hearing this, man, he's got it all. But in reality, I have no parents. When I was a baby, I was involved in a car accident and I was the only survivor. Having no relatives or grandparents, I was raised in an orphanage. The caretakers were kind and I didn't feel lonely since there were many other children in the similar circumstances. But it wasn't what you'd call a privileged environment. I had 3 meals a day, a roof over our heads, and received basic education. I was grateful for that, but not being able to study as I wanted was tough. In the orphanage, children were expected to move out and be on their own by 18, so going to college seemed like literally just a dream. I loved to study, so this was the hardest part for me. Then, there was a helping hand known as Daddy Longlegs. I don't know who or where he's from. He made regular donations to my orphanage, and hearing about my exceptional performances in middle and high school, that he or she has decided to fully sponsor my college tuition and living expenses. When I was in my senior year of high school, the head of the orphanage told me this, and I remember pinching myself multiple times thinking, is this a dream? However, there were conditions.
I need regular reports on your grades. If they're not up to par, I might stop the support. And please don't ever try to find out who Daddy Longlegs is.
Though I wanted to thank him/her someday, I agreed. I believed graduating with honors would be the best way to repay him, so I focused on my studies. As a result, I graduated with honors and got a job of my dreams and lived my life. Yet, I still don't know who Daddy Longlegs is. I believe the best thing I can do is develop effective medicines to help those suffering from illnesses and work hard every day. Then, one day, I was called by my boss. Nervously thinking that I have made a mistake at work, I went to his office, only to hear something I have never imagined.
Kevin, do you have a girlfriend?
No, not right now.
Great. How about meeting a young lady I know?
Excuse me. Apparently, the daughter of a close acquaintance to my boss runs a medical equipment company, and it seems like he wants to meet me. Of course, I don't know this woman. I wondered why she'd be interested in me, and before I could say anything, my boss continued.
I want you to hear the details from her directly. Can you do this for me?
I couldn't refuse. And plus, I was also curious. Why on earth would she want to meet me? As I agreed, he told me the time and place. He told me not to think too much about it, but she's the daughter of a major medical equipment company's CEO. So I decided to at least dress appropriately for the occasion. On the day, I went to this first-class hotel, through the pivoted door and headed to the designated tea room. Announcing myself to the receptionist, I was shown to my seat. The others had already arrived. It was my matchmaking partner, Ms. Catherine Thompson, and President Thompson. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
No worries, we just got here.
I think it's natural to be here before time for occasions like this.
While Catherine replied with a smile, Mr. Thompson seemed stern. I was sure about this. He was unwilling to this setup. While not sure what to do, I ceded. After exchanging brief introductions, we started with a casual small talk. Catherine gave off the vibe of a refined lady, but she was friendly, cheerful, and had an infectious, bubbly laugh. Her father, the CEO, seemed to be in a bad mood the whole time and didn't even try to hide it. Occasionally, Catherine would look at me with an apologetic eye. What a wonderful woman! By the time an hour had passed since our conversation began, I was completely captivated by Catherine. However, she was obviously out of my league. I felt a bit down, thinking that this must all be some kind of mistake. Why did you want to meet me? We've never met before, right? I asked a question that had been on my mind the whole time. When Catherine opened her mouth, the CEO cut in.
I heard you're quite an accomplished man, especially for someone who grew up in an orphanage. Just out of mere curiosity, that is.
The way he talked sounded like he was mocking me. It annoyed me, but I held my tongue.
I always believed that those who grew up in places like that weren't worth much. But you seem to be an exception. I heard you graduated college with outstanding grades. Well, thanks to someone's charity, I guess.
Father, that's rude.
Catherine grabbed the CEO's arm. What's his problem? If he disliked the idea so much, he shouldn't have arranged this meeting. Why am I treated like this? I never asked for it. Yes, you're right. I grew up in an orphanage. And yes, an unknown benefactor helped me through college. But I've never been ashamed of that.
Not even ashamed of accepting charity. What guts you have.
Father.
There was an awkward silence. For Catherine's sake, I thought I should let it go, but his next words set me off.
All of you who grew up in orphanages, are you all as shameless as him?
The only shameless one here is you. The CEO and I glared at each other. While silently apologizing to Catherine in my heart, I continued. Images of all the kids I grew up with filled my mind. Kids who grew up in orphanages have various backgrounds. It's true that many of us depends on charity to survive. But because of that, we all aspire to contribute to society when we grow up. Do you not even know that? And you run a medical device company dealing with other people's lives.
What did you say? You have some nerves to say that.
The next moment, I was drenched. Mr. Thompson had thrown his iced water glass at me with anger. Murmurs spread across the quiet tea room. I saw the staff hurrying over when, suddenly, an elderly woman in a dress stood up from a nearby table. She went straight to Mr. Thompson and spilled the drink in her glass over his head.
Grandma.
Catherine exclaimed. At the same time, the CEO yelled, "Mother."
I had a feeling something like this might happen, so I was watching the whole time.
The woman sighed and apologized to the staff. I'm sorry for causing a scene. She took a handkerchief out of her bag and handed it to me.
I'm sorry for my son's behavior. After all, we invited you here.
It's okay.
That damn son of mine, I told him he shouldn't come.
After wiping down the table and chair with a wet cloth given by the staff, the woman took a seat next to me.
Allow me to introduce myself properly. I'm Camelia Thompson. I'm the chairperson of Thompson Manufacturers. Maybe you know me better as Daddy Longlegs.
Well, what? I was so surprised, I nearly jumped out of my chair. I have never imagined that the daddy long legs I had longed to meet was none other than the chairperson of the Thompson Manufacturing. With a chuckle, Camellia Thompson added,
I was the one who set this up, you know.
She told me she had always been watching over me. The facility director had told her that I wasn't just brilliant, but I was also loved by the little kids, and I was the oldest reliable brother in the facility.
As I heard about how well you were doing as a researcher, I couldn't help but wish for you to become Catherine's husband,
said Camellia. Following her, Catherine continued,
Every time my grandma told me about Kevin, I just wanted to meet him so much that I requested this opportunity.
I was simply shocked at this unexpected turn. Mr. Thompson looked displeased with his arms crossed.
Please forgive my foolish son. He was just upset about the idea of you taking Catherine away and was carping about you. I'm embarrassed that he is still over-attached to me.
She sighed. I was speechless. It seems Mr. Thompson insisted on coming to this instead of Camellia. Camellia, anticipating trouble, had come ahead of us and witnessed the scene where Mr. Thompson splashed water on me.
What's not to like about this wonderful young man?
After she exclaimed in exasperation, Mr. Thompson mumbled, It's because he's so wonderful.
He's just as you described, Mother. He's more than a gentleman when it comes to Catherine. And it's clear from his conversation that he's sharp. He's a much finer man than I imagined. That's why I don't like him. I just thought he was pretending to be someone he's not, and I wanted to know his true colors.
We three were at a loss for words at the ridiculousness of it all. Even I, who was supposed to have been praised, was confused. A tense silence continued. Just as I felt like I need to break it, Catherine suddenly burst into laughter.
So it means Dad's just jealous of Kevin, right?
With tears of laughter in her eyes, she playfully slapped Mr. Thompson on the back. I'm not jealous of this young guy, he protested, his face turning slightly red.
Oh, come on, this is all so ridiculous. What a farce.
Camellia said, bowing her head slightly to me.
I'm really sorry about all this.
She apologized. No, please, I should be the one apologizing. I got up and gave a deep bow to Camellia. Considering all the kindness I had received, merely bowing didn't seem enough, but at last I got the chance to thank the daddy long legs. I could feel my entire body trembling. I don't even know how to express my gratitude for all you've done. It's thanks to you that I'm here, alive and well today. Thank you so much. I couldn't hold back my tears. Overwhelmed with emotion, I couldn't even lift my head. Then, I felt a warm hand on my shoulder.
It's all due to your hard work, Camellia assured me. Despite the many hardships you've faced, you've persevered. I'm proud of you.
Her words touched me deeply into my heart. My tears dropped onto the floor. I wiped them away with the handkerchief Camellia had given me. I've been rather rude to Mr. Thompson too, but I meant what I said. Please don't have prejudices against the kids from the facility.
I know,
he responded.
I purposely made those remarks to make you feel upset. I'm sorry.
His words were barely audible, but I finally felt a sense of relief. I felt as though I'd gotten a glimpse of the complex emotions of a protective father.
Shall we restart this? There's a wonderful steak restaurant in this hotel. Let's all go together.
Camellia said, clapping her hands and standing up. Everything happened so suddenly, and I was still in a bit of a daze, but I followed the three of them. The restaurant was on the top floor, and the view outside the window was bathed in the colors of sunset. I knew I'd never forget this beautiful sight. Later, Catherine and I began to go on occasional dates. We weren't officially dating yet, but my feelings for her grew every time I see her. I've decided to confess my feelings someday. But thinking of Mr. Thompson's reaction, I don't have what it takes to tell her. How would he feel knowing that I, a young upstart, was in love with his beloved daughter? Would he break down in tears? The mere thought made me feel complicated.
What's on your mind, Kevin?
Catherine, who had been sipping her tea, looked at me curiously. I quickly responded, "It's nothing." Seeing Catherine smile so genuinely made me realize just how adorable she truly is. And a feeling rose up in my heart, a desire to make her happy, and before I knew it, I had blurted out a confession. I'll never forget the smile of Catherine with her cheeks blushed and giving a small nod.
How are you doing, Ms. Johnson? I'm a 42-year-old insurance salesperson. I had to start working immediately after middle school for various reasons. I've worked at gas stations, diners, and once I got my driver's license, I even did delivery for a parcel service. I've done all kinds of jobs over the years. It has been 8 years since I started my current insurance job, having been noticed for my good nature around people in the process. My aunt, who invited me to this current job, must have had a good eye for people. I've been able to achieve great results, much like a fish finding water.
Art Bennett, long time no see.
Ms. Johnson, the executive director of a home building company I was visiting today, recognizes me and stands up to greet me.
Bennett, you're always such a looker.
Oh, come on, I'm just an old man. The term handsome suits someone in their 20s with youthful skin, not me.
Oh, stop. You're a good-looking man. You should enjoy it more.
This is the kind of conversation we exchange as a greeting each time we meet. While many people call me handsome, it's a white elephant to me. Despite being sociable, I don't really enjoy being around people too much. I don't mind spending time alone. In fact, I find it comfortable. Since I was a child, I was a person of sensitive nerves who, conversely, would get tired and lose myself when I was around other people. That's why I need time to retreat into my own shell to protect myself. I don't want that time to be disturbed. I prioritize preserving my own territory over spending time with women. It would be rude for such a person to approach a woman just to satisfy my own needs. Today, I've come to introduce an insurance plan specially designed for all the ladies here. Upon my words, several female employees look up at me with interest. I go around explaining the plan to each one of them. Among them, there is one person who seems to dislike me. Without even having to directly look at their face, my sharp senses, which I've had since childhood, pick up on their prickly emotions. Ms. Johnson, I'll explain it to you as well.
Oh, you're considering me as a woman too.
Of course, Ms. Johnson. She is happily making eye contact with the women around her. Today, I could secure 10 contracts in this company. Ms. Johnson, thank you for your time today. May I ask a question? I pointed to the person who seemed to bear animosity towards me and asked her, "Could you tell me that employee's name?"
Oh, Mr. James Anderson. He's a second-year employee here. He's a newbie who transferred to this department 2 months ago.
According to her, he's a very passionate young man who spent his junior high and high school days dedicated to baseball. Besides, he's also quite brilliant and is a promising newcomer from a reputable national university.
If only he were more good-looking, our female employees would be all over him. Just like they were with you, Mr. Bennett.
Well, I'm just the bait wearing a mascot costume. They just need to enjoy looking. To live together, someone sincere like him would be a better choice. I said goodbye to Ms. Johnson, promising to see her again next month. When it comes to my days off, I have a routine. I head to the laundromat to take care of my pile of laundry, then I shop for a week's worth of groceries. I spend the afternoon reading one of the many books I've stockpiled. It may seem monotonous, but it's my routine. However, today is a bit different. I have a monthly meeting to attend. I tidy myself up and head to the meeting place. It's the biggest hospital in the area. I volunteer in the children's ward there.
Ah, it's Bennett. Are you going to read to us a book today?
A familiar young boy calls out to me, and 4 tube is hanging from his emaciated limb. His hair completely gone. He wears a wool hat. I brought the picture book you requested last time. In the playroom where the children gather, I began reading aloud. Here, children with serious illnesses, including pediatric cancer, are undergoing long-term hospitalization. Even though they are battling life-threatening illnesses, kids hold bright eyes towards the future. What shall I do tomorrow? What fun things will happen next week, I wonder. Perhaps in a month, will my illness have improved? That's why they love stories about the future. Today's story is about siblings who move to a new home and transform an overgrown backyard into a beautiful flower garden. In this story, there's a boy in a wheelchair living in the house next door. The boy, who was stuck at home and couldn't go anywhere, gradually wants to participate as he realizes that the scenery he sees from his window is changing beautifully and that it's being created by a kid his own age. It's a story about finding friends and hope.
That sounds nice. I'd like to create a garden too.
The children start talking about the kind of gardens they would like to create. Some want a garden with a fountain. Others think it would be fun to have a garden full of fruit trees so they can eat from them every day. The children's creativity knows no bounds. They promise to draw pictures of the gardens they want to create by the time I come back next month. Now, I also have something to look forward to until next month. That's exciting.
What kind of garden would you like, Mr. Bennett?
Let me see. How about a garden with a big tree with a hammock for leisurely naps? The children burst into laughter at my response. They know that I enjoy taking naps. I spent about an hour with them, then said my goodbyes, promising to come again